Hi, this is Nanette Hosenfeld with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Sunday, September 23rd, 2018. Looking at fire potential impacts over the next few days, we are looking at a cold front moving through the area today. This will bring some gusty winds to much of the area. You can see those areas that are expecting those gusty winds highlighted in orange. Behind the cold front, there will be some gusty northwest winds, as well as the potential for some scattered showers and cooler temperatures across central Idaho. Also across far northeastern Utah, there is a potential for some isolated wet and dry thunderstorms. As we move into Monday, we will see those northwest winds, though they will mostly be confined to portions of eastern Utah and western Wyoming. Finally, as we move into Tuesday, we will see a break from the active weather we've seen lately, with no significant impacts expected across the area on Tuesday. Over the past 24 hours, there was not much in the way of precipitation across the Great Basin, and there was no lightning. Fire activity continues to be abnormally high for the time of year. We still have quite a few new fires across the Great Basin, as well as some ongoing team fires. Observed precipitation has been very sparse across the area for the past 7 days. You can see some very light precipitation across portions of Idaho and Utah, but really not much in the way of precipitation over the past 7 days. Looking back at the 30-day period, it's also been abnormally dry. You can see portions of northern Nevada, southern Idaho, and northwestern Utah have seen no precipitation whatsoever over the past 30 days. And elsewhere at the Great Basin, across the Great Basin, precipitation has been very minimal. With those low precipitation values, that lack of precipitation, ERCs are very high for the time of year. We are seeing record ERCs, higher than we typically see at this time of year. So we have very dry fuels, very abnormally high ERCs. I thought it would be interesting to look at where we were last year at this time compared to now. So the image on the left shows the ERC map from September 22nd, 2017, compared to today's ERC map. And this really just helps drive home the point how abnormally hot and dry it's been across much of the area, and how ERCs are still very high for the time of year. So continuing to look at ERCs, you can see the charts for GB10 and GB26. Again, setting record values, abnormally high for the time of year. And really, ERCs are as high or higher than they were at any point preceding today. So very abnormally high ERCs for the time of year. Looking at the satellite this morning, it shows that weather disturbance moving into the Great Basin, and the cold front that we will see move through the area is associated with that low pressure system moving through the area. So for today, you can see from the image on the left, there's that low pressure system moving through the Great Basin that will result in increased winds across much of the area. Really some light showers and scattered showers possible across the northern part of the Great Basin, but otherwise a mostly dry cold front. With this cold front moving through and picking up the winds, we have issued a high risk for many areas across the Great Basin today. You can see the image on the right highlighting those areas that we are looking at a high risk for gusty winds. So much of Idaho, Utah, and portions of Nevada will see those very gusty winds with dry relative humidities this afternoon. Taking a look in more detail at the wind speeds, you can see gusts in that 30-35 mile an hour range across much of the area this afternoon. So again, very windy today ahead of that approaching cold front. It'll also be quite dry. You can see the relative humidity forecast on the image on the left. Driest values will be across portions of central Nevada. Minimum relative humidities will be in the mid-teens across much of Utah, but again with those gusty winds it is still quite significant. As we move into Monday, we will see drier air make its way into the Great Basin behind that departing cold front. Winds will decrease on Monday with the gustiest winds across the eastern part of the area, closest to that low pressure system. Looking at that wind speed forecast in more detail, you can see the image on the right that is showing those expected wind speeds. Again in that 30 to 35 mile an hour range tomorrow afternoon. Relative humidities will decrease tomorrow. You can see the afternoon forecast minimum relative humidities are a few percent lower tomorrow than what we are expecting today. So again, very dry Monday. And as we move into Tuesday, we start to see high pressure build across the area. The high pressure will bring decreasing winds, but it's not great news as far as temperatures and relative humidity. And looking at the surface forecast in more detail for Tuesday, you can see the relative humidity values continue to decrease Tuesday, and we'll also see temperatures begin to climb on Tuesday with that building high pressure, with the greatest increase across the western part of the area, so mainly western Nevada. Will be the first to see those rising temperatures. I guess the only good news with that high pressure system is the decreased winds expected across the entire area on Tuesday. Over the next 3 days, really not much in the way of precipitation across the Great Basin. Maybe some really light accumulations associated with that cold front across portions of central Idaho and possibly parts of Utah, but really very minimal amounts. As we move into Wednesday, we continue to see that high pressure build across the western part of the Great Basin. Winds will mostly be from the northwest. Wind speeds won't be too significant, but we will continue to see increasing temperatures and low relative humidity. Moving into Thursday, that trend continues. We will continue to see temperatures climb into Thursday, along with very dry air in place. And then moving into Friday, weather models are beginning to suggest that we could see another weather system drop into the Great Basin. We are moving into the time of year where we see these frequent low pressure systems move by. The good news with these systems is that it lowers temperatures, but ahead of these weather disturbances, we typically see pretty strong winds. And so again, moving into next weekend, there is a potential for a system to impact the area, but ahead of that we would see gusty winds. So on Friday we would start to see winds picking up with that approaching system. Then moving into Saturday, again looking at this point like winds could be pretty strong on Saturday. There is a potential for some precipitation across the north on Saturday. Again, weather models 7 days out are not too reliable, but if this is what ends up happening, we could see some precipitation across the north. But again, keep in mind, very strong winds would occur in advance of this precipitation. Finally, in the 7-day period, not much additional precipitation is expected across the area. In the 8 to 14-day period, which takes us into the first week of October, the Climate Prediction Center is calling for a change. They are calling for an increase in precipitation across the area, which would be great for those ERCs. It would really bring them down. Across the north, we could see some cooler temperatures with a continuation of hot conditions further south. So that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our information is on the screen, and you can also find us on Twitter. Thank you.